Evening, all. How's it going? Welcome to another Lockdown Live chat. As usual, joined with my notorious co-host, the purveyor of all things Dracona Media, Mr. Alec Lyle. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's all good. Got a little bit of leave coming up. 3 whole days. It's been so long since I've actually taken leave. So having 3 days off, it's crazy, hey?
Yeah, man, you deserve it. You deserve those 3 days, man. You take those 3 days and you hold on to them with both hands. So, yeah, I guess as per our previous couple of lockdown chats, we're digging back into the archives, if you will, the OGs of the original lockdown chats, bringing back some of our familiar faces from the beginning. And today we're joined with actually somebody who's super like knowledgeable and known in the chat. Today we're joined with HALVAR frontman. Actually, so many other projects, but let's just say HALVAR frontman, Mr. Daniel Louw. Welcome back, dude. How's it?
Oh yeah, thanks, dude. It's good to be back. And yeah, dude, I agree with the leave thing, man. I'm very sick of work lately, dude. But I'm hanging in for December.
Yeah,
I've got three weeks in December, and that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
We're gonna be digging a little bit deeper into what's going on in December a little bit later in the chat. But yeah, kind of kicking things off. Last time we had you on, and I was telling Alec before we even started this chat, I thought it was so funny that we've literally had you on like post Ancestral and prior to the Baptized in Blasphemy EP. So yeah, I guess it's been like 8-9 months since we spoke. How things been in the HALVAR camp since then? How's the reception been to the EP and all of that good stuff?
Reception to the EP's been great. I mean, I think it's by far the best thing we've ever brought out. It's a lot thrashier, a lot more, it's kind of a midpoint between, our first album and our second album. I feel like our first album was, the aggressive, like, we were like 15 or 16 when we wrote it and, just pissed off at the world. And then Ancestral came out and we were trying to be, a bit musical and shit. And so we kind of did like a sort of midpoint. And yeah, I mean, I'm super, super stoked with it. Best mix I've ever done by far as well. Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, people are loving it. I can't complain, man. Just sucks that we haven't been able to play any of the damn songs live.
Really?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your like recording process. I know that it's very much DIY, and like you said, you've done a great job in this last mix. But how does it normally sort of go down, writing and recording wise? Do you guys have like jam sessions, or do you have like a more structured approach? Like, do you guys like tab out your music? Yeah, just give us like the down low.
A bit of everything, I suppose. Depends on the song. A lot of the time we'll come together with, I'll have a full song or someone will have a full song, which is basically how we did the Baptized EP. It was just Labyrinth of Lies. I kind of had like a couple of those riffs lying around and I brought it in, and then Dolph would do something and Josh would come up with something over it, and then we'd kind of get a bit of a vocal line going, and then it would just go from there. And then, then we'd do a demo of it, send that home. Josh would come and say, this section needs to go, this section needs to change. And we kind of all just have our input at the demo phase. And yeah, I mean, all of those songs probably had about 6 or 7 different demo versions of them. So yeah, pre-production, man, that's how we write it. Like fucking nitpicking every single song.
Nothing wrong with that. The end product definitely showcased there. I guess kind of out of curiosity though, the writing process on this EP compared to the Ancestral communication, did it differ at all this time around?
Definitely. Well, the whole idea behind the music from the Baptized EP was kind of based around the way that it was written. It was, you know, we are now a 4-piece, which is a new thing for us. Okay, we have a lineup of a kick-ass guitarist with Vian, the best bassist in the entire world, which is Josh, and the hardest hitting drummer in fucking South Africa, which is Dolph. And we're like, cool, let's see, you know, what we can do. So Dolph wrote his own song, I wrote my own song, Vian wrote his own one, Josh wrote his own one, and then Labyrinth of Lies was the one that we kind of all came into the band room and did together. So yeah, so that's kind of how the writing on that worked. Ancestral, I wrote most of it. No, I wrote everything for Ancestral, but I would bring it to Josh, because Josh is very good when it comes to structuring songs and, you know, getting a nice flow with things. Because Vian and I are a lot more like, you know, just get it full blast the entire time. And he can come up with, okay, but we need a section to make this kind of, and he's really good with that. So I brought all the Ancestral songs to him for, yeah, like that. And then a lot of the lyrics for Ancestral were actually from our first vocalist, who was the vocalist on the Welcome to Reality album. It was just lyrics that he left over, and I hadn't written any lyrics yet, so I'm like, I'll use these so that if mine are shit, at least I can say, well, there's some good ones. No.
So you mentioned Vian, and maybe some of our viewers will know and some won't, but he's like also like one of these guys super involved with the local metal scene. He's a fountain of knowledge. So has this changed how you guys sort of approach your live act at all? What like unique things has he brought sort of to the table? And also does he contribute to like the mixing process and mastering process at all?
No. When it comes to mixing and mastering, it's me and Dolph. You know, we'll come to Dolph's always the person when I'm doing an album for a band or anything. He's always the person I send it to. You know, like, what do you think of this mix? Because yeah, he's got a good ear, and especially if I've, you know, been mixing an album for a week and a half or something like that, then my ears can get tired, and, you know, he can pick out things that, you know, I might have just gotten used to, and he's really good with that. But yeah, I mean, we bring it to the band, you know, but that's normally once Dolph and I have tried to polish it as much as possible, and then we bring it to them and they say, fuck yeah. So yeah. So what does Vian bring to the band? I love his writing style, because like I said, it's that very chaotic. His song that he wrote on the Baptized EP was a song called Heretic Warfare. And that, honestly,
Brutal.
the best song of the EP for me. It's you know, it's like super old school thrash with all that like death metal trend picking. Like, I just love it. And I love his solos. Vian's solos are like they really feel like they were a missing part of what HALVAR should have been. You know, this sort of chaotic, you know, whammy bar squealing with like little pentatonic licks in between. It's very nice.
Very Slayerish, like very Kerry Kingish, like in
His
the
writing
crazy
style is
nothingness.
very,
Yeah,
very Slayer. But he manages to get a Slayer vibe without it sounding too much like Slayer,
yeah,
which is difficult.
exactly.
Because a lot of the time, because I mean, who doesn't like Slayer? I'll bring a riff to them, and I remember there was a very specific riff, and I brought it to them. I'm like, okay, what do you guys think of this? And they both say, dude, that's Live Undead. And I'm like, no, dude, that's not Live Undead. It goes like this. He said, okay, play your riff. And I played it. And he says, now play Live Undead. So I mean, they were very different riffs, but if you they sounded very, very similar. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, that's something that Beyond manages to do very, very well. And everyone wants to sound like Slayer. There was actually a moment from one of the live shows where some elitist sort of dude came up to us afterwards and said, "Hey, that one song, dude, that was such a Slayer ripoff." I said, "Did you think that sounded like Slayer?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Thank you."
For sure. Well, I mean, like you did actually, like Alec mentioned, Dean's been kind of a part of a lot of projects and a lot of bands. You and Dolph, more specifically, also no strangers to performing in multiple other bands and projects. So obviously, as you guys all start digging deeper into the HALVAR project, all of these different styles that you guys are bringing in, and all the different influence that you're having with the other bands, do you think this is going to kind of affect like the structural like style of the band moving forward? Like, do you guys think that they like you could stay straight down the middle thrash, or is it going to dip more into, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think for at least me, Josh, and Vian, you know, we can sort of compartmentalize our writing into, okay, you know, this is what a HALVAR song sort of sounds like. You know, that like if I write a song for Abaddon, or if I wrote something for Prophets, you know, it's gonna sound like something I would write for Prophets or something I would write for Abaddon. It's not gonna sound like HALVAR, you know. So I think of the three of us are quite good at that. Dolph being the drummer, which I think, you know, being the drummer, I think it's a really good thing. He soaks up everything. That's why I mean, when we were recording Ancestral, a lot of that stuff around the time he was listening to a lot of Gojira, and I just thought everything he was doing was just sounded very Gojira like. And yeah, it was very cool. And you know, I'm sure that things like that will bleed over into the newer stuff as well. You know, he can kind of do everything, and he likes to get creative with it. He doesn't just want to do AC/DC beats, which is a shame because it's the greatest band in the world.
So yeah, obviously we've been in lockdown for what, like 20 months almost, far too long. And like with restrictions easing up, I assume that there's some gigs almost on the cards for you guys. Now, basically, you released Ancestral based as lockdown hit, so you didn't really get a chance to play those tracks live, and now you've got an EP. So are there any tracks in particular that you like chomping at the bit to like play live, like certain songs that you just like, I just want to play this now?
Yeah. There are three specifically of the Baptized EP, which are the title track. I think that is like, I think that's going to be one of the coolest songs that we've ever done live. Heretic Warfare, because I just think it's really cool. And Through Pain Till Death, I think that's going to be one of my favorite ones to do live as well.
A lot of chanting.
Everything off the EP, actually, I'm really excited for. Yeah.
Cool. And anything from
off the prior album? Yeah.
From the Ancestral album. I'm trying to think. We never got to have the album launch, but we did play a couple of the songs live. So yeah. I mean, look, Be the Wolf's probably going to be in the set list forever. Be the Wolf, Kill the Lamb. That's always going to be our closing track, I'm sure. But yeah, what else? Lobotomized was really cool. That was one of Dolph's favorites. Dolph's always wanting to play Lobotomized, but I can't, because we only ever played that live once. I'm sure I've told you guys this story as well. We played it live once, and it's the most difficult song we have, and I snapped the string in the first like 20 seconds of the song. Yeah.
Crazy. I guess, I mean, you've touched on it a little bit, like being able to compartmentalize the different projects you're in. But obviously, well, I assume you have different gear for the different sort of projects because of different tunings and whatnot. Do you have a go-to guitar sort of for recording for HALVAR? And like, do you have any lustful thoughts towards guitars for the future?
Just amps, man. I just want to buy amps. That's all. I'm happy with. I only own 2 guitars at the moment. So I've got a Jackson Randy Rhodes that I use for HALVAR and Abaddon, because HALVAR's an E flat, Abaddon's an E standard, so it's, you know, not really an issue, and it's a hardtail, so that's fine. And then I got the Jackson Kelly with the Floyd Rose, which I'm using for Prophets at the moment, which is really cool. But I haven't used a Floyd Rose before, and I'm not used to it yet, and that's really pissing me off. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, I've got quite a few guitars here at the moment.
Sure.
Holy shit.
So on let's see, that side, this one, that's the one that I use for HALVAR. This, wait, which way are we going? This way. This is one of Vian's guitars that I'm borrowing to just jam some stuff on, because it's a nice Floyd Rose, and I don't like my Floyd Rose on this guitar. Wait, oh, sorry, this is very confusing. This guitar.
Yes.
And then this is another one of Vian's guitars that he's doing some tracking with me with. And then that's a bass. And then there's another bass. And I'm sure there's some other guitars lying around here as well that I haven't noticed.
Awesome. And you mentioned the tunings of HALVAR and Abaddon. Fallen Prophets, I'm assuming B standard or something like that, or A standard?
Yeah, B standard.
Cool.
Yeah, B standard. Yeah. No, I don't think any band should ever tune lower than B standard. I think, I just don't think it's a good idea.
All right, so okay, so let's pull this through to a nice general question that we've been asking all the bands. Obviously, the lockdown kind of knocked a lot of the OGs of the metal scene hard. A lot of bands have kind of, you know, been in limbo and whatnot. But in the interim, with yourselves excluded, but actually, you know, included in the conversation, there's been a hell of a lot of new talent that's been emerging, a lot of different genres, and a lot of SA metal coming out of it. So, I mean, what are your thoughts, you know, as a fan, you know, because primarily, I mean, that's the thing where, you know, you guys are musicians, but you're music lovers first and foremost. So what are your thoughts, Dan, on all the new talent that's coming out, and how this could, you know, spark up some interest with the whole metal scene here, you know?
Honestly, I'm completely in the dark about it. That, you know, any new metal bands that have come out, you know, since lockdown started, I have no idea. I haven't heard of them. You know, there's apparently a very cool black metal band that's come out of Durban now that Vian was telling me about. And I still haven't checked it out. And, you know, I keep hearing about all these bands, but, you know, at least in the local SA scene, we discover new bands live. At least that's how I always have, you know. I've always seen a band live in South Africa before I've, you know, listened to one of their CDs or anything like that. So I don't know, but like, I'm excited to see what happens when lockdown ends and we can start having, you know, 4 bands on a lineup, and, you know, going to a show where there's 2 bands I know and 2 bands I don't know, and it's going to be kick-ass anyway, you know. And I'd like to see that.
I'm also excited for that. I guess it kind of, let's keep going with that theme, because you were mentioning about the live shows kicking back in. ironically enough, you guys have a nifty show coming up in December out in Stellenbosch with, you know, arguably the biggest band to come out of SA since like Sacrifix back in the 90s. We've got Volvadinia, Peasant, and HALVAR coming together, which is a beast lineup, but also multi-genre, very different sounds across all of you, but all killer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you like I don't really know why it's that lineup, but it's a lineup that I think could be really, really awesome. I think the new Velvetinia album is amazing. Like it is. First of all, the guitar solos on that album, oh my god, that's for me is the best. Like I really, really love it. And I think Peasant is arguably one of the very, very best live bands in Cape Town. Like out of any genre, anywhere in Cape Town, that is the band that you need to see. One of the best shows that I've ever seen was in Bohemia in Stellenbosch, in a tiny little stage area, and it was the only time I've seen Bohemia relatively empty. But there was about 30 or 40 metalheads in there. That was one of the best shows I've ever been to. So yeah, I mean, I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting venue. I haven't been there myself. Hopefully, we'll be there nice and early.
Dolph's played a couple shows there. He says it's it's one of those venues that's it speaks for itself. You go in there, it's like a big stage, a great backline. We're not going to have any issues.
I was going to say, do you guys already have a set list in mind for it? Have you guys got any jam sessions planned for the near future coming up, leading up to it?
Oh yeah, set list is already organized, right? It's all sorted. Yeah, and we're starting getting back to practice next week or the week after. Yeah, and it's cool, man. We're getting our, because everything's been on hold and now the shows are starting again. Now we're getting all our merch up and running again, and it's going to be lekker.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we've done pretty well here this evening. Is there any plugs you want to sort of mention? I mean, we touched on your show coming up.
Oh yeah.
Merch.
Yeah, anyone watching, keep an eye out on HALVAR's Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be bringing out pre-orders for some really cool merch. We've got like 2 or 3 new merch designs coming out. We got limited edition CDs, which is going to be a limited edition. There's going to be no reruns. So, yeah, and this is the only time that you're going to be able to get Baptized in Blasphemy on CD. With 2 bonus tracks. We're re-recording Warlord. So Warlord of our first album, which has been like a staple since we started the band. We're re-recording that because the old version sounded a bit shit and it was very slow and it needs to be faster. And then we're doing a cover of Crystal Mountain. So some death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a bit of an HE track to use, with a little bit of more prog time signatures and stuff. That should be quite interesting. Yeah.
We jammed it once before in the band room and it just worked. We're like, oh well, this is one of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good times ahead. And I believe like you're also working on the final bits of the Abaddon album and the Fallen Prophets, who we won't delve much into because we'll have Francois on telling us about that soon. But things going well there. You're keeping busy.
Yeah, I'm extremely busy lately. Yeah, I've got about 4 or 5 different projects going on. Working on different musical things. But yeah, it's going really, really well. Abaddon and Prophets, things are definitely going in the works. We've recorded 2 songs for the new Abaddon already. Like we're kind of doing spoke to Vian about it. He wants to do the sort of Iron Maiden thing of, we write a song, we go in and record it, we come out, we go in. So yeah, so we're 10% of the way there.
Oh,
No,
awesome,
more
man.
than that. Probably more than
More- yeah.
that. That was just my terrible math.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hmm.
Well, I guess we could kind of wrap that up at that point. I mean, it's always nice to have a bit of a catch up. It's good to hear that you're nice and busy and that there's new music on the horizon. The South African metal scene hasn't really had any music since the Valvadinia album, and prior to that, it's been like 2 months of quietness. So yeah, it's good to know that there's new shit coming out. So yeah, Dan, thanks for joining us.
What came out before the Valvadinia album?
I believe The Peasant, if I'm correct. They would have put out. Yeah, would have been there. And prior to that, we had 6 months worth of crazy releases, which we'll include in the description right here, in case you guys missed it. But yeah, Dan, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat to us, man. It's always a pleasure. You just keep on whipping out those mean, angry riffs, and we will keep on listening.
Cool, man. I'll do my best. Cool. Thanks, Alec. Thanks, Louw. Cheers, dudes.
Awesome. Alec, what do you say? We're done for another week?
100%.
Yep. I'm enjoying this. We're doing these catch-ups. I'm feeling like we're almost getting back to normal. So with that in mind, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back same time, same place on the interweb next week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That helps. And yeah, don't forget to social distance and do all that vaccine or anti-vaccine, whatever, just keep safe, and hopefully this pandemic hoo-ha will be over soon enough. Also, guys, have a wicked weekend. Later.